Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 4 of Design Flaws. I'm your host, BARG, and we will be discussing some topics today in circular fashion, similar to the way a manically depressed person would talk about them. Now, if you are easily offended or of a faint heart, please, by all means, turn off this show and turn on some darn Teletubbies. If not, I thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. I always circle around this topic. This is the only thing I really have been passionate about recently, and it's because I'm really trying to make it in this commentary space. I want to be able to be a commentator. I think it's fun, right? I think it's fun. I think it's a good use of my time, even though it doesn't really yield anything productive. Now, a little background on me, if you guys don't know. I'm a brown guy. I've said this before on prior episodes, but I'll say it again for the sake of continuity. I'm a brown dude, dot, not feather. My parents are immigrants. I'm not going to give out my exact social security number because, like I said, I think there's a good chance that you guys are psychopaths and you'll try to murder my family. And I would say that I have a pretty diverse background. It's multiculturally diverse. But I grew up in a Christian and conservative ethos, and I grew a lot of appreciation for it and some of the ideas that come along with it. Now, that didn't necessarily stop me from becoming a hardcore far left liberal for a long time, and a lot of my friends actually had quite a bit of resentment for me at that time because I was pretty intolerant, despite being the quote unquote allegedly tolerant group of people. I would never engage with a lot of these folks on certain ideas. I would prance around saying fake facts, and I was much more narrative driven. And so, this narrative driven attitude, it kind of fucked me up. I'm not gonna lie. It made my fall into the alternative independent journalist world a lot harder and a lot more excruciating because I realized, wow, I was believing in quite a bit of bullshit. So, the reason I bring this up is because I've had times where part of that background means that, I did end up going back to the conservative side. I became, a hardcore market economist, a hardcore, I'm not really fucking with that attack on the Western civilization and the nuclear family. I think it's pretty weird how Black Lives Matter Incorporated has that as a part of their demands to the nation, is that we destroy the nuclear family. And I find a lot of these things to be, now as being a conservative, I look at them like, oh, wow, that's very narrative driven and actually not driven by any tracking of the facts. Now, here's the deal. This doesn't make me a better person than other people. And in fact, I've learned that the more conservative I get, the more respect I have for other people. And I think why this is important and why this is relevant is because it puts us in a place now where we are looking at the world and we are seeing a lot of people who we kind of pushed off into the fringes of the margins of people who we shouldn't listen to because they're quote unquote right-wing conspiracy. We've pushed these people off to the fringes so much, and now are we only realizing that they were sounding the bell on the whole time. A lot of people like to critique Alex Jones. Even in my own family, my own sibling critiques Alex Jones. He thinks he's an idiot. What he doesn't realize is that, you're an Austin liberal and you grew up around a certain culture that pushed these philosophies on you from a young age. So you haven't really done enough reading to identify what Alex Jones is and isn't right on. Now, I'm not sitting here defending Alex Jones. I don't think I need to defend anybody. I don't think I have to make the case for him. I think what he's already made the case for, it already exists. I think the case for Alex Jones exists already. And you can look at his track record and you can look at the bad parts and say, wow, see, this means everything he said is wrong. Or you can look at him and see, wait a second, this guy was chanting WMDs, Epstein, and global reset sorry, what's it called? The Great Reset. It's not the global reset. You can look this up. The Great Reset, Klaus Schwab, World Economic Forum. I highly encourage, if you need to pause the show, look this up. You want to see what I'm talking about. I'm going to start trying to link things in the descriptions. I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube for being a crazy person, because I'm not. I really do believe that I'm a right center. I'm like in the right center group of things. I'm not in the this alleged Nazi fascist alt-right that every lefty thinks that a conservative person's in. And I have respect for the conservative and Christian ethos. So this is where these are my biases. I'm explaining them to you right now so that you can use that, while when you fact check this information, you can actually, respond to me and leave me messages and stuff, and I can at least try to do those things and have that discussion, and we can go through that exercise in a productive way. So let's refrain. I know I've been an asshole in a lot of these episodes, and I've been saying asshole shit, but I that's usually because my temper is just off. I have a temper issue, and it just goes off the chain, and I have to scale it back down and let myself think about it. But I do want to say that with Alex, with a lot of people who are in this space of commentary, news, whatever you want to call them. I think they're commentators. I don't really think they're news people, because they're not. Alex he does investigative journalism, but he is known for his commentary, right? He'll go find stories, but he's known for usually seeing other stories and then bringing them to the front of his particular network. And by the way, I love Alex Jones. I grew up watching Alex Jones. I would play Alex Jones. I mean, I play Alex Jones before going to sleep. I think that Alex Jones, despite how crazy people think he is, there were so many things that he was right on. And I don't know, as a society, when are we going to start giving people like him the credit for sounding the alarm bell well before the destruction of what was going to happen is evident? Alex was talking about COVID. He was talking about so many things in a way that that people misrepresent and misappropriate, and they constantly try to talk around the issue as opposed to engage him on his facts. Because when you engage him on his facts, his narrative stands a way better test of time than yours. For example, the WMDs in Iraq, Alex was one of the biggest proponents of the idea that was fake news. And it has been provenly, verifiably now fake news. We can say that with multiple infinity wars, which we've never gotten out of, and we still don't realize why we're there. So the thing is, this isn't just to praise Alex, but the thing is that we're clearly not being fair as a group of people. We're not being fair to how folks actually consume information and how they report information. And we're labeling things with right-wing conspiracy and right-wing bias to simply avoid acknowledging how detrimental what they're saying could be, right? And so, I used to not really advocate for this issue. I used to always kind of just, be like, yeah, and I would look at media bias the way that media companies hope you look at it. They want you to look at it as if they want you to look at media bias and media bias reports as if they're not institutional and as if they're individually editorially different. And that's not true. And that's been proven by how you can look at the coverage of Donald Trump. You can look at the coverage of Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. It's clearly institutionalized bias. It's not selective sensationalism based off of selecting individual stories. It's built at the institutional level and then works down from there. And the journalists and the activists that work at these companies are oftentimes moving around with directives issued from above. Don't believe me? Talk to Tim Pool. Watch his videos. Tim Pool, a very, very, we've talked about him on the show before. He's extremely, well-read, smart, educated guy. He's, I would say, very centrist, aggressively centrist, unlike Matthew McConaughey, which I love Matthew McConaughey. Man, are you a fucking liberal, my guy? But, Tim talks about how this institutional bias actually works. He lays it down in a mechanic. So I think if you want to say, oh, but you're just a fucking idiot, you don't know what you're talking about, BARG. Well, hey, look, you don't believe me? Go to people who've actually had jobs in mainstream media, like Vice News, like Disney, like places that own media companies. Look at how they were regulated and specifically driven to push a certain editorial narrative. So, I guess the reason I even open the show with this topic is because, and I want to go into a little bit of story time. And I want to go into a little bit of story time because I think this is one of the biggest media bias at the institutional level, not the individual, oh, this must be a right wing. See, what's happening right now is there are fact checkers that are saying certain claims, and they are claiming that the fact has been checked. And then there are basically the fact checkers of fact checkers, which these fact checkers will then label retroactively after the article's been published, after their fact check claim has been debunked, or at least there's two interpretations of something, right? They will go to the antagonizing interpretation and label that source as a right-wing bias or right-wing conspiracy or right-leaning news. And what I don't like about this narrative is that right-leaning news, even if it is right-leaning, if it's newsworthy and it's accurate, then it's fucking news and then actually has no bias. Bias implies that there is some level of misinfo or disinfo or sensationalization of a certain thing. A website like The Federalist, for example, that debunks the fact check claim from another website, specifically regarding the Georgia incident with the video that came out and the Trump team pushed forward very aggressively, they simply said, all The Federalist said, this is The Federalist, this is not me. Again, before you come and claim my video, this is The Federalist. This is a very, very accurate and I would say empirically accurate news organization. And they don't report things. They don't report things for the sake of being contrarian. They report things because they believe that the mainstream media has the narrative wrong. What they reported about the Georgia video was that it was, I'm paraphrasing. I suggest everyone Google that, Federalist, Georgia, debunk, whatever you need to pull that article up. But the Federalist reported this was not actually debunked. They just said it was debunked. And all they're saying is that they have verified claims from the Georgia Secretary of State. So right now you are saying, now what this does and why this is a problem with these fact checkers is now a army full of liberals who are so willing and so ready to vote out Nazi fascist Trump, Nazi, neo-Nazi white supremacy, white people, white guilt, whatever postmodernist bullshit you want to pull from your ass to put in front of this. People are now looking at these fact checks, believing and committing them to memory as if they are as true as the laws of gravity. And all the Federalists did was say, this is not as binary as people expect it to be. This video is still very suspicious and definitely needs to be reviewed at the level of a subpoena, a judicial investigative subpoena, not a public hearing, not a media investigative journalist just talking about it. This needs a FBI and DOJ investigation at the source, not a Bill Barr saying he's going to investigate and then, jerking off the CP while he doesn't call any of the witnesses. He doesn't make a single phone call to anyone on the affidavits. So the DOJ can't. This is what the DOJ did. They said, we're going to investigate. And then 2 weeks later, they were like, we've investigated and we haven't found enough evidence yet, but we're not done investigating. And it's like, wait a second, did you call? And then you look at the Trump team. The Trump team says, no, they didn't get any evidence. This is how you source evidence. You have to go to witness accounts. They didn't get any witness accounts. 0 witness accounts, folks. 0 witness accounts. And so, look, I'm not a nut. I'm not a crazy person for saying, hey, this doesn't really seem fair. Right? For the Russian investigation, we had FBI teams going at Michael Flynn, going at Roger Stone, going at everybody on the Trump campaign, Michael Papa, everybody, Mikey fucking P, bro. He was a good guy. He's a good guy, a good kid. He's a young guy too. And General Michael Flynn. I mean, we've persecuted people based off of less, and we're really, really hesitant to really raise the finger and say, hey, maybe this. And the moment you do, you're a racist, you're a fascist, you're a rapist, you're a Kavanaugh, you're this, you're that, and I think that right now, what the biggest disservice is, and then this, and we'll go into story time in a bit. I'm kind of going back to this because I think I need to put this out there for people. You're not defending anyone besides the elites. You understand that? When you fall for these media misinfo, disinfo campaigns, when you willingly, selectively, as a low information operator, push and peddle these stupid, non-influential ideas that somehow peddle influence, you're complicit, my friend. So if for any reason the media gets it wrong or the media doesn't cover the right story and there's actual loss of lives behind it, you are the low information operator that made this all possible. Because of your inability to boycott mainstream media, and your inability to actually analyze stories for yourself and speak out against them, Instead, you share them, you propagate them, you tell your friends that everybody else is a COVID denier and everybody else is an anti-masker. You tell your friends that everyone else is, you lie to yourself. You tell everyone it's COVID's only going around because of the lockdowns. If people were complying with lockdowns and wearing their masks, we'd lose COVID in 2 weeks. Yet you don't actually rationalize your opinion. And so I think this idea of people, I guess what we're talking about now is people rationalizing their actual opinions. So if you have an opinion about something and you're asserting it, like Steven Crowder says, like anyone else with a debate background says, rationalize your opinion. And if you don't do that and you just go off of feelings and if you just go off of subjective reports, you cannot necessarily feel as strongly about that opinion when it doesn't have a solid rationalization. And now I'm not going at the entire left with all this. This applies to everybody. This applies to people on the right as well. So if you're on the right and you're not able to rationalize your opinions, reevaluate your opinion. Reevaluate it, see where you actually are. This is how we promote intellectual diversity. This is something that people don't touch on because we all want to appear as allies, non-aggressors, non-oppressors, trans, non-binary, furries, I'm an attack helicopter, all that jazz. We don't want to offend anyone, but we are slowly and surely, and I wouldn't even say slowly, I would say we've been pretty quickly losing intellectual diversity. I don't think that's a radical idea. We pretty much have created a homogenous group of folks, especially in the left. On the right, you have a lot of people who are libertarian right, Christian evangelical right. You have a lot of different right-wing folks. And I think that's because the conservative ethos has honestly stood a better test of time. And that's just my subjective opinion. But I think you can look at this historically on a macro level from the dawn of humanity and the dawn of Western civilization to now. The conservative ethos has brought I would say like some of the most amazing work we've seen as a country. And I would argue that everything that you're doing right now, like the fact that you're listening to this show, the fact that you're doing something in a way where it's not subjugated or it's not enforced or enslaved, I would say it's because of Western civilization. And I'm a brown guy, so before you come at me with this white supremacy stuff, man, I very much implore you to challenge your own opinions, because just because you can't conceive something doesn't mean that the other guy's a white supremacist. Those two things are actually very distinctly different, and a racist is very distinctly different from a conservative. And I'm really, really kind of getting tired of this narrative from the left, because it's obviously inflammatory, sensationalized, and built to polarize. And when we talk about holding each other accountable for the information and our rationalization of positions, one thing I find common with the left is they don't hold themselves accountable. They have the strongest feelings about issues, and they rarely actually back that up with, blind randomized data. They very rarely back that up with legitimate and, conscientious claims about things that are not in a that's kind of funny, non-binary, but you have to, I think the gender non-binary stuff needs to apply to the information. Let's put it that way. If we're going to be non-binary about gender, let's be non-binary about information as well, right? Why don't we just start not labeling certain things as right-wing misinformation and right-wing conspiracy? Because if we want to talk about attacking the press and attacking free speech, and we're talking about it not at the constitutional level, but we're talking about it at the platform level, right? With Facebook, YouTube, Google. Then I think that we're really fucking ourselves in the ass, my friends. I mean, if you're talking about telling people who simply believe that a mask is not necessarily consequential to their life because they've made those calculated risks, I think that you're a loony. I think you're a complete loony if you believe that telling them that they're wrong or they're an anti-masker or they're the reason COVID is where it is, right? And I think what stimulated these thoughts in my brain, what really got the juices flowing for me this morning after a cup of Joe, I was thinking, why am I thinking this, right? This is why. So last night I went out with some friends. I went out with one of my good friends and his girlfriend, and we didn't go out into to a bar. Although I wish we did. I mean, I love going out. I don't give a shit about any of this stuff, man. I feel like we should just be fucking living. But hey, that's my bias, right? So we went out to a liquor store. We went and got some boba tea, which is I really like when the Asian culture brings us things like boba tea, but I don't like when they bring us like viruses. But anyways, that's different. That's just a joke. This is a joke, people. This is a comedy show. I don't believe anything I'm saying, and this is all imaginary. All right. So just before you come at me with pitchforks, just hear me out. All right. We went out. we grabbed some. I got like a pumpkin spice coffee. It was delicious. We got to get that inner white girl out, bro, with that pumpkin spice shit, man. And we went to their house, and my friend's girlfriend's house, and she has an amazing house. And I'm not giving out any addresses, I'm not giving out any SSN. So before you say, hey, where, that just realize that asking that question should make you implore, am I a psychopath? Do I want to stalk and murder people? If you are that person who asked where, get help. Listen to the show, share the show, but get help while doing that. And if your therapist or your medical health professional says, hey, don't listen to that show, tell them they're lying and tell them that they're, a globalist or something. Do whatever you do, just get help, but don't stop listening. We sat down and look, excuse me. I don't have dementia, I have a stutter. I would say, reformed. I was a classical liberal, and now I'm a classical conservative. I'm not Christian. I don't have a Christian background. I have a Hindu background. But I stand for ideas of nationalism. I stand for the ideas of like people like Modi, people like Trump. I used to like Boris Johnson a lot, but he's kind of turned out to be a little bit of a globalist. So I don't know how I feel about him as much anymore. But I guess the point I'm making is that that's my standing. And so when I go into the world with my friends, my generation is usually largely left-leaning. So, we broke the conversation. We broke the conversation of politics. And what was ironic was that my friend's girlfriend, we'll call her Sally, because, no, Sally is too demeaning. Let's call her Angelica. Angelica was actually voicing favoritism and voicing praise of populist, semi-nationalist movements, like what's happening in India with Modi. Modi is the, prime minister of India, but he's a populist, he is a nationalist, and he preserves the Hindu ethos, and he is very tolerant, and kind of like how our media assassinates everyone's character here if you go against them. The same thing's happening with Indian media. It's getting very largely left-leaning. And if you look at the ownership of Indian media, they're largely owned by Muslims. And these Muslim-owned journalistic entities in India will spend pretty much all hours of the day saying that Modi is raping, assassinating, and harming and doing all sorts of fucked up shit, which he's really not doing. And even if he was doing it, it would not be anywhere near the sensationalized level that's being pushed by the media. And so Angelica and my friend, remember Angelica is my friend's girlfriend. Yeah, making sure that no one's gay in this story. But she voiced that positive praise for nationalism and populism. So interestingly, I was like, yeah, interesting. So if you're able to appreciate that, then maybe you'll appreciate Donald Trump. But I didn't want to talk about it yet because I don't want to be that guy, even though I don't believe I should be that guy. I don't want to be that guy in the group of people. So her boyfriend, one of my good friends, he says, no, Modi's killing people, Modi's bad. Basically, it's kind of like how we have orange man bad. That's usually the source of every leftist argument. It has nothing to do with policy. It has nothing to do with actual comparison of these values. What it is simply boiled down to it. If you simplify it, it's orange man bad. Nothing good comes out of orange man bad, right? It's a very popular thing amongst right-wing people to say that because it's kind of like the exact reflection of what the current discourse is, So we started drinking, we started eating some pizza, we stopped at Domino's, and so we got the juices flowing as far as like intellectually, creatively. We were starting to talk more, right? And juices flowing is a weird thing. I don't really like that word anymore. Kind of that phrase that kind of sounds predatory, but. Anyways, we were just talking and I was drinking. So I was getting a little drunk and we were drinking some 9%ers. And so, you can drink a few of those, you'll start getting a little drunk. And so, I basically, I don't know who started the conversation. I don't know if it was me and something. I don't know if I couldn't just hold it in anymore. And I was like, yeah, but Trump's not a racist, right? I don't know if I said that or if they said something else. But we essentially got into a full-on discussion. Now, this was not a unproductive discussion. This was actually a fairly productive discussion. We We talked. We let each other finish our points. We rationalized. We did, operate in the assert your opinion, to rationalize your opinion, and then you let the other person assert theirs, rationalize theirs. You see where you agree. You see where you disagree. It was very conversational. It was very much not like a hostile debate. But the problem is that what I was able to pretty much pick up on from the jump within my own social circles is that there's clear media bias affecting them, the leftists. And so this is ironic because leftists only almost in a very binary fashion believe that they don't believe gender is binary, but they binarily believe that if you're a right-wing person, you're the only quality or class of person that is able to fall for misinformation. Left-wing people, they claim, are more college educated. I mean, this is so silly. Like, we already hate entry polling data. We like exit polling data because exit polling is a little bit more indicative of it's the only way to know the closest with the closest margin of error what someone is. So you look at the ideological dogma of each side, right? And you look at, what media bias does to that dogma and how it peddles the dogma. And I learned right there in a moment of seconds, like, oh, shit, this is going to be rough, folks. I knew it right then and there because I was like, oh, no, not the CNN talking points. Not the CNN talking points. No, dude. But it started, man. It started, and I can't not hold my ground, man. I support the president. I support our nation. I support our troops. I support our police. I can't if it means that I have to be the idiot in my social circle to speak the highest level of facts and truth, then I'll do it, man. I mean, fuck it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to tell these people that they're wrong, but I can't just let it slide, right? Because every time you let it slide, man, you're contributing to these mainstream corporate journalists who have activist biases, have clear institutional and editorial biases, and you're letting them win. And if you don't boycott and tell people to boycott this shit and show them that, hey, guess what? They were wrong about this, and this, and you're believing them willy-fucking-nilly, so you're really putting yourself in the worst situation possible. You're really putting yourself in the worst position possible. It's like if you're an asset in the field. All right, let's take the analogy to, say you're a CIA asset, right? You're not an analyst. You're in the field. You're a former Delta Force dude. You can kill people with fucking, cat fur. By the way, there is a cat here. So if you hear this cat has recently. Her name's Athena. She's recently declared that she recently put in her Instagram bio ACAB, and she's telling me to start using certain pronouns, and she's gonna join Antifa, and I'm like, fuck, I don't know what to do. Every time I have to be very careful in this household because she's a farly radical leftist. She gets very upset when I start talking about things. So again, if you hear her, please, do forgive that. But I guess I don't mind being the guy who tells people to boycott mainstream media because I really do think it's the only way to actually let the paradigm shift back to a healthy normal. I think that right now the left has so much misinfo, so much disinfo. They believe they create their own facts for their own narratives that always only back up their narrative. By the way, their facts, their alleged fact checks and claims somehow always rule in the favor of Joe Biden or always rule in the favor of not Trump, right? Or anti-Trump. So, Orange Man bad. Like I was saying, guys, we're going to be talking about that a lot today. So what's happening? What happened in this? In that whole fucking conversation we had, and it was. And I'm getting triggered, but honestly, it was a good convo. It wasn't bad. Obviously I love these people. They're my friend and his girlfriend, and they're amazing people. They've always been nice to me, and they're not actually as PC as they try to let on. They're actually very not PC. It's kind of funny. That's why it was so ironic for me. I was like, wait a second, you guys believe in media disinfo, but you guys don't mind saying things that would get you canceled off of something, right? So, I guess that's a different thing in and of itself. That's just how effective the media bias is, that it's able to actually take people who are free thinking for the most part and then ideologically direct them in one in one singular unilateral way. But so, what happened was that, we started talking about stuff and I guess, you know, where things started getting a little off the rails was when we started talking about the origin of COVID. Now, this was something that I've noticed as a guy who, like I said, I was radically left and now I'm a classical conservative, right? I believe in the Christian ethos and I believe in the conservative ethos. What I've learned is that these motherfuckers, a lot of these lefties, man, they have a greater than thou presentation to all of their arguments. Every single one. It's funny. They lean the least into science, the most into emotive narratives, yet every narrative it's greater than thou because it is. It's a weird thing, and we're getting to the stage where before we used to be able to tell these people, hey, ad hominem attacks are not allowed, my friend. In debate, you can actually prevent ad hominem. You can actually have a productive debate if you are able to identify someone's ad hominem, right? So ad hominem isn't necessarily just an individual criticizing another individual as those two individuals are debating. Ad hominem is any. I'm not talking about literally any. It could be a line, it could be a paragraph, it could be an essay. It is any sort of deflection from the premise of the argument and then blaming the other person because of appeared and perceived character flaws. Because everything is perception, folks. So when a lefty tells you that COVID is only so bad because states like Texas and states that are thriving and killing and crushing this pandemic, right? When the lefty tells you that the pandemic is killing everyone and we're in a state of despair and we're all going to die and it's all the Republicans' fault, it's all the anti-maskers and all this bullshit, that, my friends, right there, ad hominem, negate those people's arguments. Say it like that. Say, listen, like we can talk about this, but this is ad hominem. You're talking about something that is purely scientific, the virology and the infectious capabilities of COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2. You are the novel COVID virus, right? The novel COVID virus that we fucking had the NIH and the NAID and all these fucking Department of Health motherfuckers donating and sending millions of dollars to every year, but whatever, right? We'll put that all aside. Anytime they go for the ad hominem, you call them out on it. Because what happened right in that conversation, my friends, was I immediately said, look, you're saying that COVID is bad because Orange man bad and Republican bad. And Republican don't stay home when Republican told to. Republican care too much about liberty, not enough about death. Now, I removed the ad hominem and I started going with what has been verifiably proved today. Verifiably assumed or presumed. And when I say presumed or assumed, I'm talking about the inability, just because you can't catch someone red-handed in the crime, and just because you can't find the body doesn't mean that you just dismiss circumstantial evidence and circumstantial reports and accounts. If you're doing that, I don't know why you're even in this business. If you're just the guy who's constantly fact-checking and saying this has been debunked or disproved, and you're talking about people who have legitimate testimonies about something that went wrong, whether it's the COVID, whether it's this, whether it's that, I don't know why you're in this business. I don't know why you're literally shilling for authoritarian overlords, okay? And I hate to be Brown Alex Jones, but he was right about that. He was right about the activist complex and how it's going to spoil the public discourse. And a lot of these fucking folks are just sitting here and looking around thinking, no way I'm wrong, man. I'm a fucking liberal, man. We should legalize all drugs, man. There's no reason that we had heroin illegal. It's just to subjugate black people, man. Like, this shit is this is their whole thing. The orange man is bad, man. He literally is a racist, a fascist, and a homophobe, man. Like, I don't know why your white male privilege can't let you see that. It's like, well, I'm brown. It's like, well, I don't know why your brown male privilege can't see that. It's like, well, how am I privileged? I thought I'm brown. It's like, well, you're still male, so you're still privileged. And this is their whole thing. And so I started getting this from that conversation from the jump. And so I was like, all right, look, BARG, keep your cool, keep your calm, rationalize your positions, right? So here's what I did. I rationalized my positions, right? I talked about the origins of COVID. I talked about how we had been involved in gain-of-function research, and this has been reported on by numerous people. This is not conspiratorial. I had talked about how the wet market theory has been allegedly disproved, it's been challenged, it's been pushed, it's been shown. Like we've been able to have very, very clear line of details from whistleblowers in China talking about the origins of coronavirus, right? Now, I'm not sitting here and saying that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton and the DNC decided to release a pandemic in collusion with China so that they could, try to cripple an amazing economy and, actually derail like a second Trump re-election, right? Now, or a Trump re-election, not a second Trump presidency or a Trump re-election. My apologies, guys. Now, I'm not saying that. I'm not going to make that assertion, right? But I'm not going to ignore the circumstantial evidence that would be around that assertion, right? Like the circumstantial evidence reported by the Boston Magazine, right? Reported by New York Post, Newsweek, okay? Wired Magazine. There are clear people and voices in our media somehow still existing who are holding and preserving the real narrative behind the origins of COVID, its level of infectiousness, and how it is not just something that Republicans started and ended, okay? And Republicans are contributing to, okay? I can't stress enough, folks, convince these people to rationalize their opinions. So I rationalize my opinion. The first pushback I get from them is they look at each other and they start laughing. Now, this is a 3-person hangout, right? I don't really give a fuck about how many people you hang out with. I really don't give a shit. I think that there's been way too much sensationalization around gatherings and stuff. They're all stupid. All those people who are criticizing are stupid. They don't understand how the virus works. They're not epidemiologists, and neither are you. So do whatever the fuck you want, guys. But and be precautious. Please don't. If you have something wrong with you medically that's going to make you die, please don't go and do whatever you want, right? And if you do that, I respect your freedom to do that because I'm a motherfucking American, people. But look, so these guys started looking at each other and started laughing at each other, right? And they're laughing about me because I asserted that Dr. Fauci and the NIH and our medical bodies and our research, we were involved in gain of function research specifically with coronavirus, specifically with a family of coronaviruses in we were specifically working with SARS-CoV-2 or a very, very like 96% similar strain of this virus, right? And it was in a family of coronaviruses. That's what I meant to say. I'm having like I didn't write any of this down, guys, so I'm just I was trying to write this down, but I was like, no, I got to just get this out there because it's better to be more authentic about this. But I get this pushback and I say, okay, look, all right, guys, I understand that you guys think that I'm a loony, right? And you guys think, oh, well, you voted Trump, you're a lunatic. But look, Newsweek, New York Post, multiple other sources, Wired.com. I mean, come on, guys. Boston Magazine. I mean, why would they platform someone? Why would these places platform people with these claims unless there wasn't some truth to them, right? And then they say, oh, well, because it helps. It's misinfo, man. It helps someone. I'm like, who does this help? How does knowing the actual origin of COVID help anyone? It doesn't help anybody, dude. It's here to stay. It's going to be here for a while. It's going to be something we all have to deal with. But they were sitting and saying that I was like a nutcase because I believe these things. And I'm like, I don't believe them the same way I believe gravity happens, but I'm going to assume that these claims must have some merit. And I'm going to assume that if there are multiple people and scientists themselves and whistleblowers themselves talking about the origin of COVID, then this is being suppressed because the narrative of COVID needs to be an anti-Trump one. And that's called rationalizing your position. That's what that is. People like to think that that's called conspiracy. Folks, if people come and tell you you're a conspiracy theorist for rationalizing your opinion, they are shilling for authority. They are shilling for authority, and whether they know it or they don't, sometimes they're elite people who actually don't care about anyone's rights or ability to do anything. So they do it knowingly with insidious intention. There are a lot of people who shill for authority totally, and I mean, I don't know how you do it accidentally, but they do it accidentally. And they don't mean it. They don't mean it in a truly, I guess, corporate Democrat elite way, but they're definitely doing it with some sort of contempt against the opposing side. So it's definitely not free of any bad emotion or bad energy, but it's definitely not as evil as the corporate shill. So a lot of these folks, they're low information operators. They're pushing one singular narrative because it helps one singular goal: get Donald Trump out of office. And, I decided to shift off of the COVID stuff. And I said, all right, let's just put COVID aside, right? Why do you hate Donald Trump? Because look, I can sit here and make the case about why Donald Trump should not be responsible for any of the deaths that happened. These deaths were going to happen anyways. These deaths were probably going to happen the moment that pandemic got bad, and the lockdowns did not help. I've gone over this at lengths, but for the sake of a constructive discussion, because these people, what's crazy, man. Again, all love for these people, but man, these people, they need to learn, man. Like, they're gonna go. These two friends I'm talking about, they're actually in medical school. They're studying to become doctors. So a doctor with a holier than thou attitude is the worst thing you could ever have in your life, dude. A doctor who's unwilling to admit that they don't know everything, and they're not willing to be intellectually honest and at least beg the question for differences and challenging their opinion. There needs to be, look, these guys, I hope they make a lot of money. I hope they become doctors. I wish only well on them, but I really do pray and hope that they reform this character flaw. It's a character flaw, guys. It's not really ideological, the ideology only becomes because you have that character flaw. If you don't have that character flaw, then this ideology means nothing. So look, I gotta collect my thoughts. Sorry, guys. So we put COVID aside, and I said, let's engage on policy. You're talking about rhetoric, right? Let's engage on policy. So what they did is they very lightly acknowledged Trump's amazing, classically liberal, pro-America, America first. Dude, policy-wise, this guy's insane. President Trump, I don't like to fucking kiss anyone's ass, man, but I would kiss this motherfucker's ass, bro. Like, policy, bro? Dude, free trade, gone. Paris Climate Accord, gone. Get that shit the fuck out of here, bro. Get that shit the fuck out of here, dude. Forever wars ended. Or at least he attempted to, very, very strongly attempted to end them, and vocally, and never really frayed from that. Michael Bolton, gone. Dude, war hawks, gone. Firing people at the Pentagon who are war hawks and warmongers, gone. These motherfuckers at the Pentagon, bro? Bro, let me tell you about some bitch, bro. I gotta tell you about a bitch, bro. Listen to this shit, man. There's a bitch that Donald Trump fired from the Pentagon. Donald Trump fire war hawk. Let's see what comes up. And this bitch was trying to sit here, bro. This bitch was trying to tell people, let's see what this motherfucker says, bro. Come on, did he? No, I don't see the news story. Anyways, whatever. I'll forget her name. I'll try to link it or something. He fired this chick, and this chick is literally calling him a fascist and a racist and a neo-Nazi and all this stuff. Meanwhile, she's ruling in the favor of infinity wars based off of, dude, she was in favor of the WMD bullshit. She was in favor of all this shit, putting American troops at stake and their lives at stake and going in and intervening in countries where you have no business doing that. So this is called policy discussion. That's called being consistent, is when if you are an anti-authoritarian, anti-corruption, if you're a guy who believes in that, you rule and give credit to when people do it. So again, this is why Donald Trump and his new voters that he gained an historically unprecedented amount of registered Democrats who voted for Donald Trump. Registered Democrats who voted for Donald Trump. About 7 to 10 million new voters, and 5 to 7 million of them registered Democrats. This is based on exit polling, a much more verifiable source of speculation, basically. It is all speculative, but it has way less margins of error, way less of a margin of error comparative to any sort of entry polling or preliminary polling. So again, we go back into this discussion with my friends. I'm talking to them about policy. They don't have one critique, guys. I'm not joking about this. I'm not lying. I'm not saying this. I'm reporting this as I remember it. I was drunk, but I remember it very clearly. I have a good memory when I'm hammered. This was a literal, I was seeing cognitive dissonance in like live, bro, like fucking live. And I was watching this happen right in front of my eyes. They were they had this is one of my best friends, guys. It breaks my heart to see him be such an idiot, but he was like, he literally says, yeah, but when Donald Trump went on stage and mocked that paralyzed guy, you know, I know that the media bias is there, but if you watch that full clip, he was mocking that guy. And I'm like, yeah, do you know why he was mocking that guy? Because he's a fucking activist journalist in CNN who, I don't give a shit if you're disabled or not, bro. Do your fucking job properly, bro. Like, good. Fuck that guy. Fuck him and fuck anyone like him, man. Like, not by disability, folks. Not fuck anyone with disability, guys. That's called conflating. What I'm talking about is fuck anyone who is an activist journalist who is literally lying and dissuading the public for some weird activist / sinister institutional intention. You're a fucking weirdo. You need to get the fuck out of the discourse. You spoiled the public discourse. So why he was roasting that guy? Because that guy was literally sitting on CNN shilling for authority. And people didn't like it. And I thought it was hilarious. And I don't give a fuck. And they were, dude, so this is what they were saying. They were saying, my friends were saying that the fact that he did that, the fact that Donald Trump did that, and he showed the world that we are tolerant of bigotry and hate, and that single-handedly is what did it for me. And I'm like, really? That's your defense? Your defense against no new wars. Your defense against pushing for massive withdrawals of military troops from certain areas. Your defense against ending secret wars. Your defense against the literal lowest unemployment rate an economy has ever seen. Not Wendy's jobs, not a McDonald's or Arby's or Walmart. No, we are talking about manufacturing and industrial jobs with unions and retirement plans and pensions and 401ks. We're talking about the old age, the era of America which made us rich and great and made the middle class healthy. You're saying that is your rebuttal? And I was sitting there in disbelief because what was happening, folks, was that I was sitting in a room where I am the only rational person there. And I understand that's biased to say because I obviously wouldn't describe myself. I mean, I'm clinically insane and I'm probably mentally handicapped, but I'm not saying that had anything to do with that discussion. I don't think it did. I think what was happening there was media bias. Someone drilled into these sorry suckers, and I love them, but they're suckers, man. They're fucking suckers. Someone drilled it into their head that Donald Trump, President Trump, the great President Trump, and hopefully second term, I mean, I'm praying, man. I'm not even religious and I'm praying, man. I'm praying like my life depends on it. But Donald Trump they believe, someone drilled it into their head, hammered it into their fucking head that this guy is a bigot, or this guy is a fascist, or this guy is this or that or the other. And that was their defense for literally policies that put America back on top, baby. We are back on top. America, when Joe Biden said America is back with sunglasses, no, he means China is back because he's demented. He doesn't know the difference between the two. He sits down with the Chinese, he talks to them about money, and he's like, yeah, Hunter, you want some money? Isn't it great? You know, little sidebar, what a great day to be Hunter Biden, man. I mean, to be Hunter Biden, to be Joe Biden, and to be sitting here and to openly defrauded people, openly done criminal acts, right? You've colluded, you've literally done every crime under the authoritarian motherfucking sun. And you have all of these media outlets and people just praising you left, right, and center. They don't even know what you're saying. They're translating for you. You don't even know what the fuck you're saying. Somehow they know what you're saying before you know what you're saying. And you're sitting here and you peddle all this bullshit and you skirt justice. Hunter Biden and Joe Biden have skirted justice, folks. This is where we are today. This is not some Orwellian horror story, this is today. Elites in the Democratic Party have skirted justice, and they have ran on completely farcical points. They have inspired and inflamed critical race theory. They have inspired and inflamed neo-Nazi feminists, basically, and all sorts of people who are maybe making up 1 to 3% of the population, 1 to 5% of the population, and they have turned the common public discourse against the middle class, against actual Americans, actual American lives, people who legitimately have to earn their money and are not corporate elite. This is how we have lost our public discourse in this country. And I know that, and look, I try to make this funny. I'm not as funny as I think I am, but I'm more reflective from this conversation I had last night, because it was one of the few times where I broke my bubble, right? To see, because I've always been in that bubble, so I always knew this is how liberals were. But I was like, I haven't been hanging out with liberals a whole lot because I can't stand some of their talking points, and they're just so intellectually inconsistent that I'm just like, okay, you can't possibly sit here and say Orange Man bad if you're not going to be equally critical of Barack Obama, or equally critical of George Bush and Dick Cheney, or equally critical of Bill Clinton, or equally critical of anybody, any predecessor who had institutional bias and special interests funding them. So if you're not going to sit and do that, we can't talk about Orange Man bad. Because if my premise is that he's the best person ever and your literal premise is Orange Man bad, we clearly on two sides of the spectrum. And we have to find some common ground to agree. And so, I mean, they started laughing and stuff, and I was like, look, guys, and I was really respectful, and I kind of wanted to just get an Uber and get the fuck out of there. But I was really respectful because, look, the truth is, guys, is that as stupid as it sounds, look, I'm all for people having the interests of their nation and interests of their state, and I'm all for seditious rhetoric. I think it's really cool and funny. But here's the thing. The best way to meet these people, folks, is with empathy. You treat them as if they've been misinformed, and you treat them as if they're dogmatically misinformed. The same way you would treat someone from like a 12-year-old radicalized Muslim, ISIS guy, right? Or someone who clearly isn't old enough, clearly isn't knowledgeable enough or omniscient enough to know their convictions of their faith or the convictions of their beliefs or ideologies, but has been misinformed to such an extent that they do actually believe it. And when you ask them to rationalize it, they get triggered. They start deflecting. And so that's what happened here. I met them with empathy. I continue to say, hey, look, I understand Orange Man bad, but you haven't actually rationalized why we should refrain from a Trump agenda policy. Trump agenda, we should refrain or steer clear from Trump agenda policy. You're totally glossing over trade deals. This is my response to them. I was like, you're totally glossing over the trade deals. You're totally glossing over the Iranian peace deal. You're totally glossing over pretty much everything he's done that's been good. You're totally glossing over historical unemployment, like ethnic unemployment being at an all-time low, median wage going up in 4 years by a factor of by a factor of about $5,000. Comparatively to Obama. This is verifiable, guys. You can verify this. Median wage in Donald Trump's presidency went up the most compared to Barack Obama and George Bush. It was trending down, actually, and it was actually in Obama's presidency, I think the highest he was able to do was 1,200 net. So in Trump's presidency, we're talking about 5,500 net. So you can check this, fact check it, call me on it. I don't care. But the truth is that the middle class had never been healthier since the 1940s and 50s. Again, that was when people had to work. There was no institutional or intergenerational wealth. There was none of that. There was no, massively lucrative stock market. There wasn't inheritances that were being handed out like $1 a dime back then. So, so you just listen, the Orange Man bad, guys, if you're liberal, Orange Man bad is not a valid argument, okay? Orange Man bad doesn't help anyone. It continues to fracture and continues to fracture the middle and push people left and then right. And I told these people that I said, look, I think what's happening here is that you all have very clearly fallen for media bias, and you guys are now holding down. So even for the wrongs that quote unquote President Trump has committed, you're holding him way more accountable, almost in a witch trial fashion. Comparatively, when you look at Barack Obama, or comparatively when you look at George Bush, you're giving Obama way too much credit. You're giving Obama way too much credit for lying to people. And this is what I said to kind of seal the deal with them. I said, what I'm understanding is you're more willing to vote in the interest of policy that cripples our economy, cripples our security, and cripples our nation if it's dressed up as nice goo goo gaga shit. And I'm more willing to vote for a policy that empowers people, empowers more black people than ever, empowers more actual minorities than ever, empowers more middle class people than ever before seen. This is not disputable. This is verified. Fact check my shit, please. Okay? I believe that voting in favor of that for a guy who makes fun of a disabled person once on air, and he said, so I'm pretty sure he said sorry about that shit. He was like, yeah, sorry. And that guy, first of all, that disabled dude's a fucking shill, and fuck that guy. Fuck him, and fuck that nonsense, dude. Like, we're defending CNN reporters. Do you understand what's happening right now? CNN reporters. That is who we're defending right now. That's who these people are trying to, virtue signal for. And I'm like, yeah, you're virtue signaling. You're virtue signaling. You don't believe any of that. You don't believe any of that nonsense. You believe that this is all supposed to be some big, bad, goo gaga orange man bad. Orange man bad. And it's like, look, I can't help you people. And I will continue to meet these people with empathy, man. I will always show them direction and let them because the thing is, guys, you can't lead a horse. You can't make a horse drink. This is the most fucking cliche shit ever, but it's true. You can make a horse drink water. You can lead it to the water. It's got to drink it itself. So you can send these people the articles. Odds are this is what they're going to do. They're either going to first reach out to you and say, hey, I checked the institution that published this article. It's a right center bias, so it's automatically wrong. Well, I wish that's how it worked, guys. I wish we actually vetted information. I wish CIA assets did that. They took intel and they were like, let's take the merit of the intel and dump it in the trash. Let's see who gave it to us. Was it a good guy or a bad guy? Was it a bad guy? Well, then it's no good intel. And then they lose lives or lose the integrity of their mission because of that. So again, this is a stupid argument, but they'll say that. They'll say that's the first thing. Second thing they'll say is they'll send you a fact check that was built specifically to label any dissenting opinion as conspiracy theory, because that is a part of this disinformation campaign, folks. That is something that people are doing every single day. Every single day, fact checkers and these fact checking organizations, whether it's AP Fact Check, whether it's Snopes, whether it's whoever the fuck, they are literally let's understand what's happening here. WikiLeaks, Edward Snowden, these folks have given us secrets of the government, that the government is committing crimes and abusing us, right? And we've seen that with WikiLeaks' recent publications about Dominion voting systems and some of the things surrounding the election irregularities. We're not here to debate that. All I'm saying is that the fact check was only published to merely create a scenario where you don't have to acknowledge the point that is being made. That's what happened with the Georgia thing with the Federalists. That's what happened with the Snopes fact check against Dominion. That's what happens with all these fucking fact checks, man. They're literally trying to silence dissenting opinion, and they're shilling for someone. And I don't know who. You can look into the origins of Operation Mockingbird. Whitney Webb talks about Operation Mockingbird. She's an amazing independent journalist. I don't necessarily agree with everything she says, but I think her investigative process is pretty good. And investigative-wise, I like her biases more than I like the mainstream media's biases. I like that she's more apt to investigate things in the name of anti-corruption and anti-authority. So I see what she's read, what she's published about Operation Mockingbird. By the way, declassified under the Freedom of Information Act. Verifiable. Check it. Source me. Fact check it. Whatever the fuck you want to do. And it shows that we've had a history of institutional media bias. Is the conclusive point of that is that CIA report informed the American people that, hey, our news journalist organizations are not impervious to media and institutional bias. That's all it was supposed to show us. The bias itself is for us to recognize, folks. And I think people on the right have done that very, very well. I'm proud of my conservatives in this country, man. We have weathered several long storms. I mean, through the Bush era, the Obama era, Donald Trump was a godsend for a lot of us. I mean, we were really just so happy to have somebody to represent the way we want freedom to be represented in a way that's actually impartial, in a way that actually is inclusive. Again, you can dispute all this you want, but the truth of the matter is we only got more free under Donald Trump, and we only got less oppressed, and we only learned more about the evils that our government has committed under Donald Trump. We didn't go back even a fucking second, man. And anyone who tells you that, man, they're trying to revise history. They're trying to revise history and say that, oh yeah, no, Orange Man bad. And so I think when I was sitting in this conversation with these folks, I knew that we couldn't go anywhere because we can't find common ground. We can't agree on stuff. You're going to label, like I said, like there's one or two things I was saying, like they're going to label everything, like they're going to send you the fact check. They're going to say that I saw the source, it's a right-wing conspiracy, or they're going to say the third thing would probably be they're going to send you, they're going to not read the source, which is one of the biggest things. Like the third thing is they just don't even fucking read it because because a lot of people exercise confirmation bias in their day-to-day lives, guys. You have to realize that these folks are suffering from savior complexes, white savior complexes typically, because a lot of them are white liberals. And they're shilling. They're shilling for people who've got way more insidious and sinister intentions. But what's happening is they have these savior complexes where they believe that they're fighting for something. And in reality, you look at Trump's policy, and Trump's policy led to less subjugation of people globally. Globally, China is engaging in less slave labor. And like, yes, the Muslim, I know that we just heard about the Muslim internment camps and concentration camps, but those have been going on for fucking decades, guys. Let's just get that clear. They've been subjugating those people for decades, and that subjugation only went up under free trade. Because of free trade, they continue to devalue their currency and underpay all of their actual employees and use slave labor at rates that we've never used in America, my friends. Slavery, my friends, slavery, the literal American slave trade is nowhere near as big as the Chinese slave trade, and it's never been as big as the Chinese slave trade. That is something that revisionists will not want you to know. Revisionists love to tell you that America and white people did all the boo-boo, baba, good, bad thingies, and nobody else did the slave trade. And slavery was only done under the white liberal, and the Democrats were the ones who gave women the right to vote, and they gave black people the right to vote, and they also gave gay people the right to. This is that whole camp of folks, guys. But slave trade in China has only peaked. It was peaking under Obama. Our estimates show that it's gone down a little bit, but China has been now negotiating aggressive deals with other countries because America said, fuck it, we're boycotting China. Because when we do that, we're protecting the people in Hong Kong, we're protecting the people in Taiwan, we're protecting the people who speak out against government that takes advantage of people. It is the actual opposite of privilege, you stupid fucks. You stupid fucks. Jesus fucking Christ, man. This shit boils my blood, man. Anyone who goes against Trump on these policies, man, these policies saved lives, you motherfuckers. It's way worse than bigotry and a literally statistically negligible increase in hate crimes. Like, what is a hate crime anyways, dude? What the fuck is a hate crime anyways, man? I mean, whatever the fuck these people say. It's like all lefty fake facts, bro. It's like a fake fact to back up another fake fact to back up another fake fact. And then that whole fake fact is like a house of cards holding a fake premise. You touch one of them, the whole thing tumbles down, and they have to go back to Orange Man bad. And that's what happened in this discussion, man. In this discussion, I sat there saying, you haven't said one good thing about Biden's policies. You've not said one bad thing about Trump's policies. All you have said here effectively is Orange Man bad. Then we talked about so then what ended up happening is I did appreciate this from Angelica. This is the code name for my best friend's girlfriend. Angelica did say that that the Iran nuclear deal under Obama was really good, and Trump knows nothing about what's going on in Iran. He's literally an idiot. He's a bad businessman. He's never had good businesses. He's just like an idiot. It's like you really can't even make that argument. And I'm like, well, here's the argument. It's already been made. So instead of reading fake news media and telling yourself that, I mean, this is what shilling is, right? So what is the Iran nuclear deal? I don't want to go into the specifics of it, but I can tell you this. It had more special interests behind it. It had more focus on continuous destabilization and continuous arming of ISIS and arming of other Muslim militias. and continuously making them war with each other so that we have more reason to militarily occupy them until we can get rights to a oil line there. That was what it was. It was a geopolitical play. It was a geopolitical play backed by special interests. This is your president, Barack Obama. This was your president, Barack Obama. Fuck that guy. He's not president anymore. But this was your president, Barack Obama. Okay? So that was the Iran nuclear deal in a nutshell. Okay? You want to go in and tell me the positives of it? Sure. We can interpret that this is positive for some people. But this is what I'll tell you what happened. From that, in that exact deal, for the reasons of securing that deal, we bombed Syria. We intervened. We were interventionalists. We were nation building. We were nation building. We were militarily occupying these lands so that we could get to that oil. So what did Donald Trump do? Donald Trump fires Michael Bolton and says, fuck all this shit, motherfucker. I'm out of here, bitch. And he says, I'm getting the fuck out of Iran, people. I'm getting the fuck out of Iran, people. I can't do this. I'm too charged up to do any imitations right now. But he gets us out of Iran. He brings in a historic peace deal. He brings another historic peace deal. I think there's like now a third one now he's brought in. He gets these warring militias to simmer the fuck down, pipe down so we can leave. And then while doing that, lets all of us bring the most economic jobs we've seen from oil and coal production that we've ever seen since, like I said, since the 40s and 50s, since we started letting other people produce our energy. So that's the proof. All you need is that's all the proof you need. Less people dying in Syria, less American soldiers dying, more money in Americans' pockets, less tyrannical, authoritarian military occupations and military uses, less waste and lies to the public because we're in secret wars and we're trying to have these special operation programs and these special weapons programs, and less of this Benghazi shit. Trump specifically said, I am not going to let them, and he didn't even, like, look, you want to be mad at Donald Trump for not, like, necessarily crushing the military industrial complex. You can make that argument, but you cannot make, again, you have to be very, very over. If you're critical of Trump for the military industrial complex, my friends, then you need to be 3.5x critical, more critical of Barack Obama and George Bush for that, okay? So, she tried to make the case to the Iran nuclear deal. I broke it down for her. She then basically said, no, I don't think he knows what he's talking about. It's like, I'm telling you what has happened. You're arguing something that has already happened. Trump already won that fight. Trump already brought peace to the Middle East like we have never seen it before. You've already lost. You're rationalizing an opinion that is a shill. It's a shill conversation. It's a shilly fucking. It's literally like me trying to tell someone why I think that we should go back to free trade. And that's another shill conversation people have. Guys, watch out for these people, man. These lefties who come and tell you that free trade's better for the world. I mean, these people, every time they say that, man, people in Hong Kong die. People in Taiwan die. They die. They get abducted for dissenting against their government. They're singing our motherfucking national anthem out there. You know when they started doing that? When Donald Trump got into office and told China how he's going to do business with them. When Donald Trump went to North Korea and walked across the fucking border, man, without any protection, looked at motherfucking Kim Jong-un in the fucking face and said, you touch me, my friend, there's going to be 6 projectiles coming out of the air directly for you. We are the strongest country in the fucking world. We don't have the luxury of trying to mimic and emulate this fucking fake Scandinavian socialism and these fake social programs that are all, without fail, backed by special interest people. And the fucking shit that I had to deal with yesterday, man, that shit triggered the fuck out of me. But I had to keep my cool, bro. I was like, I can't just pop off at these people because they're immediately going to assume that I'm a nut and I'm a loony and I'm a conspiracy guy and all this. And it's like, no, you're just a shill, dude. You're just a shill and I'm not. And if you were a shill and you saw someone challenging your shill ideology, you would say the same fucking thing. You'd say the same fucking thing, man. I can't with these people, man. I just can't. And I mean, look, I want to be positive. I want to be a positive person. I want to be out there informing and educating and making jokes and writing jokes and having fun. And the conversation wasn't as bad as I'm making it out to be, but it triggers those emotions, man. And that's ironic because I'm not even from trigger culture. I'm not from outrage culture, but this is outrageous, dude. I mean, this is outrageous. Like the fact that these people are going around, these lefties are going around thinking this shit. I mean, Angelica was literally trying to make it's like the Jen Perelman thing we talked about in the last episode, dude. She was trying to tell people why we should be in the Iran nuclear deal and tell people that while wanting to be in the Iran nuclear deal, we don't like that Assange is locked up. We don't like this. Like, it is shill. It is intellectually inconsistent. It is completely hypocritical. And when you call them out on it, man, orange man bad. That's what they go back to, bro. That's what happened. I said, hold on a second. Less people have died in the Middle East than have died before, okay? That's a fact. The peace deals that we brought in. So, yes, are we still doing some wheeling and dealing with the Saudis under Trump's peace deals? Possibly. Probably not. I think under the Iranian nuclear deal under Obama, we were doing a whole lot of shit. I mean, we were spending a lot of money. We were sending them a lot of money. We were giving them money. We were giving them weapons. We had CIA programs in there. We had fucking this Homeland Security trying to like run the show. We had State Department guys all over the place saying, why the fuck are we in Iran? Why the fuck? We had guys in intelligence in America telling you, why are we in Iran for this oil line? This is WikiLeaks, boys. This is verifiable. You can look this shit up, folks. Look it up. See the communications between the people in power then and the institutions then, bro. Don't just get mad at me because I'm telling you something you don't like to hear. So I mean, look, the moment you start defending policies like the Iran nuclear deal, you start sounding like that war hawk to me, man. That war hawk that Trump fired from his Pentagon. From the Pentagon, you start sounding like her, a woman who represents all the military special interests in the world and is calling Trump a Nazi and a fascist because she got fired from her cushy job where all she did is decide the fate of people's lives, American soldiers, our soldiers. I mean, dude, this postmodernist, like anti-patriot shit, man, you guys need to find somewhere else to go, to be honest, man. Like, and I say that respectfully. Get up, get the fuck out of here, go to California, or vote red, please. Do the world a fucking favor, man. Just get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of this fucking land, man. Get the fuck out of Texas, dude. Tarrant County, you guys went blue. Fuck all of you. Except for the Trump supporters out there. I love y'all. But fuck all of you, man. Fuck every one of you that fucking turned that county blue. You know what's mad funny, man? You want to hear something crazy? I'll tell you something crazy. You want to talk about conspiracy? You want to talk about crazy shit, crazy coincidental stuff? Let's talk about Tarrant County real quick. I'm gonna Google this right now as we're talking. So Tarrant County, Smartmatic. That's what I'm typing in right now, okay? Smartmatic, voting tabulation software, all right? Now, let's look at this. This is the Spectator, okay? Call it misinformation. Call it what you want. You can verify this stuff. You can literally verify this shit. You can look up Tarrant County, Hader Garcia. What I'll spell his name. But look, Texas County goes blue for the first time since 1964 after hiring former executive with Smartmatic as elections administrator. This year, Tarrant County turned blue for the first time since the 1960s. Hader Garcia is the Tarrant County Elections Administrator. He was hired in 2018. He previously worked for Smartmatic for 12 years. He received his engineering degree in Venezuela in 2003. In 2010, he testified during a fraud investigation into the Smartmatic software in the Philippines election. In the video released during the hearings in Philippines in 2010, Hader Garcia of Smartmatic was questioned on what he called unforeseen occurrences during the elections process. Look it up, guys. Look up his name. Heider Garcia, Garcia, Tarrant County Elections Administrator. Hired in 2018. Hey, I'm not peddling conspiracy theories. I'm highlighting to you something that we call an anomaly in this business. It is anomalous for someone to have, and it is also questionably suspicious for someone to have Smartmatic ties as an executive, at the executive level. He looked like I'm assuming he's like mid-level management for a time, and then somehow gets a job as an elections administrator. From this point, folks, this individual, Mr. Garcia, he decided to report to the media, the local news media at the time. I don't know if they've scrubbed the article. I couldn't find this article as I'm looking at it right now at this page, but this man announced to the news media with a mask on his face that he would be reporting the results of this election in a delayed fashion, and he would not be able to declare a winner in Tarrant County on the night of November 3rd, which is Election Day, and that is according to precedents that long outstand the precedent of mail-in ballots. Excuse me. So what's happening here, and why I bring this story up, why I've always been saying the same thing since I started doing this bullshit, man, is that there are people believing these lies that are being told to you. I'm not going to say what specific ones so that YouTube doesn't come after me, but the lies that you are hearing in your social circles, my friends. This is happening in your front yard. It is happening to you right now. It is not something that is on the cusp of existence. That is a cat in the background. She's terrorizing me. I told you she joined Antifa. Most of us who decided to support the president, we're fervent supporters of it. We've been conditioned to be fervent supporters because of active misinfo and disinfo campaigns that run at the highest institutional levels downline in dogmatic fashion. Our standing right now is not looking good, folks. I'm not saying that to discourage y'all. I'm not saying to make you guys feel demoralized, but these tactics were planned at the level of the think tank, at the level of a war game. We're talking about players like John Podesta, Nancy Pelosi. We're talking about people who have real money, real power, institutional ties, and they own the news media, folks. We're talking about Jeff Bezos owning Amazon and then owning Washington Post from there via Amazon. We're talking about Alphabet's ownership of Google. And we're talking about how these companies are in line for military contracts, surveillance contracts. It goes deep, folks. And these are the things that Edward Snowden reported about before. But what we did then was the dumbest thing we have ever done, is not listen to a whistleblower when he is telling you and the prediction of the nation you are trending towards. The alarm bells that he raised by talking about surveillance that we all very, very conveniently happen to just continue to let him be prosecuted under the Espionage Act. We didn't speak out against our government. Lefties, I'm talking about you, lefties. I am talking about you because you, for some reason, you fell off the anti-authoritarian train, man. You couldn't get on the Trump train because of that. Your love for yourself and your selfish behaviors have costed, we're talking at least 75 million Americans, an honest election, folks. I mean, I hate to get in this space, guys. I really do. I don't like it because, I was raised to be a positive person. I was raised to look out for the good in the world. And, it sounds cliche, sounds corny, but I fucked that up for a long part of my life. I did stupid shit. I didn't take accountability for myself. But I've found a new way, the conservative way, the party of personal responsibility. While they all meme it, they don't realize what those words mean. Personal responsibility aren't words that are common to these folks. But look, I this is not my normal state to be a pessimist. It's not. I'm a pragmatic person. I'm a pragmatist. But we're here now. We're here now, and it's not looking good, guys. It's not looking good at all. If by the time you're going to hear this, you're going to have probably known that the Texas lawsuit did not go well. I don't know who the fuck decided to tell people that was going to work. But clearly, we have not corrected the cogs in our machine. And people like Amy Coney Barrett, the people we trusted to be the last stance of defense in this nation, well, I don't know if they failed us, folks, but let me just tell you that she was not ruling in the favor of hearing that case. Before you let anyone tell you that case had no merit, You make sure you set the record straight for these morons, because these morons exist everywhere. Like I said, it's an operation built to make you feel demoralized, folks. It is not an operation that was supposed to be empathetic from any point of view at all. Let these people know that this case was not dismissed based on merit. It was dismissed based on standing. The merit of the case has complete and absolute legitimacy. That was preached by constitutional scholars on the left and right. Don't believe me? Fact check me. Fact check me, email me, correct me. I will make that correction on air. Hold me accountable like I hold you accountable, and we have a better society. But the moment you start giving way for special interests, media bias, you see it affect the population at the person by person level. The enemy that was not anywhere near you and that you thought was all the way in China and that you thought was all the way here has made its way towards where we are today. And it's made its way to our literal front fucking lawn, man. I mean, look, you know, what my conversation with my friends last night inspired in me was a real understanding of the damage of media bias. And while lefties would love to believe in their little fantasy delusion, la la land, that this media bias is only affecting the right and they're the party of empirical data, well, unfortunately, they're completely fucking wrong. They're not the party of empirical data. They're absolutely the party of emotive-based outrage. Outrage that is founded on the dumbest, most simply, the best way to put it, the way I like to say it is, their outrage is based on farcical. That's a good word. Farcical claims. They're claims. They're not even proven. You can go to any position on the left, guys. You can go to any position on the left and you can ask them to rationalize this position, and it doesn't happen. This kind of loops back into the conversation I had that's inspired all this with the friends. And it's just what it is that this inability to rationalize it further, rewards the emotional appeal. And I don't know why we've trended away from that. And the only people I can hold responsible for that, man, because the thing is, you got to be responsible for yourself. You got to be responsible for your information. The right has done that very, very diligently, and I'm proud of my conservative brothers and sisters. We very, very quickly understood what was happening in this country, and it's because the conservative ethos has stood the test of time. It's lasted thousands of years before us, and it will last thousands of years from now. It'll be the only ethos that allows true tolerance. It'll be the only ethos that allows true equality and the highest amount of equity, shared equity, and it's the best. It's the conservative ethos is inherently more collective than the socialist ethos, okay? And when I say socialist, I don't mean what these lefties say about socialism. I'm talking about what socialism is at its fundamental core, in the name of political science, in its exact definition by dictionary. The socialist ethos does not reward intellectual diversity. That is a fact. That is not something you can dispute. Don't let Snopes tell you any different. Please don't. With what's happened just in my last 2 days and what's happened in the country in the last 2 days, I saw something that I didn't see before that I knew existed, but it's one of those things where you see it in real life. It's like, that bad things happen, but when you see that bad thing happen in real life, it's a little demoralizing. It makes you think, like, it doesn't make you question yourself, because again, rational thinkers who are truth telling and are actually sitting at the pinnacle of empirical information, and they're giving you data that you can work with and data that's that has the ability to be interpreted by just a normal common man. That is always a tough job. You can look at it historically, how many people, Jesus Christ himself, I'm not even preaching, but Jesus Christ himself struggled with this because he lived in a state and a society that polarized against him for all sorts of interests that don't have any backing in moral argument. But So I've always known that. I've always known that that's going to be an issue. You're going to run into people who are going to try to label you as conspiratorial, right wing, But the problem here is not just that. It's layered at a deeper level. We're talking about massive amounts of people to the tune of tens of millions. It's at least tens of millions. It has not hit 100 million yet. I don't believe anything about that 80 million number. I don't believe any of those numbers. Those numbers are all fake. They're all fraud. They're all phony. You want to call me conspiracy? Go for it, man. Just go for it. Because honestly, I support your right to call me a conspiracy theorist just like you're supposed to support my right to say this. But apparently we don't do that. So, whatever. Walk all over me. Make fun of me. But here is the facts. Here is the actual data from Matthew Brainerd. We are talking about nonpartisan people, folks, people who do not campaign for one side or the other, who are talking about irregularities. We're talking about court cases which did not get heard on the merit. They got dismissed on standing, even at the state level. Courts that have failed us, folks. This is how totalitarian states get created. The moment your justice system cannot entertain the idea that impropriety happened, entertain the notion, the hypothesis, and at least review the evidence and give that their day in court, the moment that is allowed to happen, the moment you're allowed to blockade that, I mean, I don't know. The moment think about that. Think about that for a second, right? Think about a courtroom where the judge and the jury in some cases are supposed to actually deliver the opinion that best helps the people that use and represent and are represented by that court. And they don't even hear the case. They don't hear the case because they don't want to take the controversial decision. They don't want to do the job that they are required to do, which is make the decision that no one else has the courage or the moral capability of doing so. Because when you're talking about a nation that's compromised at the level of Secretary of State, at the level of mayoral and governor offices, at the level of individuals who can specifically invoke parts of the Constitution but don't do so for some reason because merely the entertainment of the idea, just the hypothesis, the notion that this election was potentially riddled with impropriety that could have been outcome determinative. You're talking about people who decided to go against what they constitutionally have the ability to do in the name of, quote-unquote, the popular vote and, quote-unquote, the disenfranchised vote. I mean, look, there's nothing to make of it, okay? There's nothing you can make of it. There's nothing you can say about it. All you have to do is prepare for the future. My friends, the only good news I can deliver to you today in these times, in these very troubling times, is that we are winning the war on information. Information is only becoming more and more available, even though there has been a huge push to censor it, to sanction it, to institutionalize it. Yes, it has affected a large part of the population, absolutely, but they will crumble within their lies, I promise. It happened with the war in Iraq. We will swing back into the states of power. But it's going to take time. It's going to take planning. We're going to have to undo what we did in these states. Do you understand? You're going to have to mobilize to undo what happened in these states, undo the processes and the unconstitutional passings of certain stipulations of law that were not based in the Constitution. We're talking about getting these things back to the place where they actually represent the real popular vote and can actually create a fair and free election. But until then, guys, we're going to be in this tough spot. We expect to see liberal policy take over America. If you're in a state like Texas, you're going to be the last stand. So right here, we're the last stand. We're going to see metropolitan areas start swinging very blue. So we need to hold these states because we cannot lose these states. In theory, we have lost Georgia. If the legislature throws up no fights and decides to send one singular slate of electors to Washington to vote for the president, then my apologies. What am I saying? Vote for the alleged president-elect. My apologies. The president Well, he doesn't need your votes because he already got them in 2016 by a landslide while you were cribbing and crying. So we've lost Georgia in this theoretical model I'm talking about. We've lost some of these states that we had strongly. So we are already starting behind the line. You understand? We are already a minority of states. We are now officially a subjugated minority by a totalitarian government. And guys, YouTube, anyone who sees this is all comedy. This is all jokes. This is all just fun. We're talking about this for fun, okay? So before you come, you try to loot and burn my buildings and censor my shit, just put the fact check up. It's fine. I agree. I'm wrong. Whatever I want you to say. But look, in this hypothetical comedic world that I am now painting, okay? It's not good, man. It's not good right now. And so we have to be stronger than ever before, dude. This is not the time, whether it's our president, whether it's our state, whether it's our legislature, this is not the time to show weakness. We need to assemble in numbers as we have never assembled before. I'm talking about activism we need to take that playbook out of the left. Take that page out of the left's playbook. What am I even saying, dude? I'm literally in delirium right now. I'm in fucking delirium. Because this is Orwellian, and we're in an Orwellian state. We're talking about tens and tens and tens and tens and tens and tens and tens of millions of people, dude. We're talking about millions of fucking people who are legitimately sitting here and in disbelief that this was, this went the way it did. Let's just say that before someone comes in and the CIA kicks my fucking door in and then drags me out in cuffs. In my fucking undies. Man. I mean, look, guys, I'm not sitting here to spread fear. I'm telling you guys to be the most rational people ever, right? Because that's going to help you. Being rational in this time, rationalizing your opinions, doing what you are constitutionally allowed to do. That is your best defense against all of this. Whether it's this election, whether it's future liberal policies, whether it's, nonsensical people trying to tell you that you're a nutcase, whatever it is. Being rational, being calm, being collected. I mean, these things are something you need. You cannot at all try to evade ration and reason, okay? Let us hold that line of ration and reason. Let us be the party that legitimately strategizes, tactically mobilizes, and eliminates and neutralizes domestic enemies, okay? Because right now, with the current state of affairs, the one thing we cannot afford, guys, the one thing we cannot afford is, simply put, losing our fucking minds. And it's something I'm struggling with right now, at this current moment in time. I'm losing my mind. You guys know my temper. My temper it's not good. It's not a good thing. And it's not something I'm proud of. And it doesn't do me any service to do the easy thing and lose my temper about this. But, that conversation with my friends last night with Angelica and, my best buddy, and Angelica's her CIA cover name, so it's not really, don't pay any attention to that. But what it really showed me is the power of media bias and how it can actually just simply convert ideologically and radicalize an individual who grew up with you, man. I mean, this kid grew up with me. We had the same values growing up. We had the same principles, everything. But somewhere along the line, the activism in the left made him feel valid in a way that we didn't. And was that our failure? No, I don't think so. I think people are accountable for their own actions. And I think that he's accountable for this. And I think he will have to, at some point, the thing is this, guys, it's inevitable for the hypocrite to get found out. The thing is, you don't get the satisfaction of doing it yourself. And that's something I've learned. I have family members who believe in things like, Medicare for all and socialized health and socialized education and stuff. And, I understand they come out of a place of empathy. And a lot of times they're not intending to replicate and push practices that subjugate and legitimately hurt systems and people and societies. But they're coming out of a place of empathy, and you have to concede with them on that and believe that, okay, look, I'm going to come from a place of empathy too, right? And you have to make the empathetic argument for your opinion, because what has unfortunately happened is these folks don't believe that people from the right come with empathy. They think that people from the right are coming from a place of this weird place. And now, look, of course, the burden of proof is on them. It's not on us, right? They have to prove that we are the bad guys. And they haven't done that. They haven't done that yet at all. They've attempted to, and like, again, it's been echo chambers and it's been circle jerks where they're just jerking each other off. They're like not even gay and they're just jerking each other off. And, it's just like, I don't know. I like seeing that we're what we are, but I can't help but feel that we should have been smarter. We should have been sharper. We should have been better trained. And we were asleep at the wheel, because I think, when you look at what happened in 2016, you look at Donald Trump's historical campaign, you look at what the president was able to accomplish, you look at him post Michael Bolton, you look at everything he did, and it was what it was amazing, meticulous, calculated work done by amazing strategists. We're talking about advisors on his campaign and people on his campaign that legitimately have brains, man. They have the ability to think and critically analyze and assess how they're going to win an election. And they did it in a way that was so pure and legitimately built in good intention and good faith. I mean, the media tried to tell you that he had all these this and that, and it's like, you can see it. Just this guy doesn't have that. He's got, all he does is he just wants to be able to do something unique and stand out in a way that helps people and give you that taste of medicine that you don't like, but you realize you fucking love, right? And it's just like, it's a drug. It's everything, man. It's only good things. And so, the burden of proof's on them, but we have to still make that empathetic argument. We can't be snobby about it. We can't do holier than thou shit. And that's so hard, because I was doing that last night with these folks, man. I was making like snarky comments because this individual was trying to defend the Iranian nuclear deal, and I was like, yeah, all right. And they were trying to defend the disabled reporter getting roasted, and I was like, okay. I mean, he's a CNN reporter lying about the president, lying about America, telling people that everything is not what it is, and specifically doing it in a way that only benefits one side and will only ever benefit one side, and it's the side of institution, the side of authority. So, I mean, with a grin on my face, I said, yeah, look, I mean, are you trying to say that rhetoric, alleged rhetoric on what you think he said and what you think he meant is somehow more important than policy? And what's the funny thing, man? Here's how bad it is. Here's how you know how bad it is. The funny thing is, this individual decided to smile back and say, yes, I do. I do think that platforming a racist and a I think that platforming him is going to be harder and more offensive to people. And that's worse than killing thousands and millions of people with war and drones. And the drone comes and goes boom, but nobody gets offended. They just get killed. And that's not as bad as getting offended. And so when you're dealing with people who talk like infants like that, and they sound like infants, you got to treat them like it, and you got to give them empathy, and you got to be like, yeah, I mean, you won, but maybe reevaluate your entire life because it's disgusting. Yeah, do that. Thanks. That's these are the people, folks. I mean, these are the guys and the girls who are just telling you these things that aren't true, and you're like, you don't believe this, do you? Like, a lot of times I just like look at like my friend, for example, I'm like, I get exhausted, and I'm like, you don't actually believe this, right? Like, you don't legitimately think that Donald Trump's a Russian agent, right? Like, that's a joke, right? You're just kidding. Haha, this is funny, man. You're a funny guy, man. It's not that. They believe it. They're like, no, dude, he was a Russian agent, bro. He fucking fucked Putin in the ass, and ass fucked his mom right after. It was weird. His mom and Putin were like fucking first, and he fucked them both in the ass. And like, I hope your kids don't listen to this, basically. But, they're going to tell you they fucked each other, and then they fucking, Putin shot a nut across the ocean, and then it was intercepted by like a counter missile, counter-strike missile, and, our counter defense. Then the intelligence director was like, oh, Mr. President, they found that you fucked Putin, and you're a Russian agent, And it's like, it's just lie after lie after lie. And then the Schiff memo is bullshit. And the fucking Steele dossier is bullshit. And like, you just debunk it. You prove it to their fucking face. You show them sources. You're like, dude, look, this is literally a reputable source. They have more ratings on any other, they have like a higher, authority in the journalistic world than like the Washington Post. And they're telling you that the Russian hoax is fake. And they're like, no, but Bezos and Gates told me it was real. And they don't do anything wrong. So like, what's the problem? And like, small businesses don't need to be open because they're not essential. And I'm a pathologically lazy person because I literally sit at home because I'm a privileged fuck and I'm able to do Zoom work. And for me, if it's good for me, it must be good for everybody. And like, COVID like wouldn't kill me or kill like even 99.999% of people. But I don't think I think we should lock down because of it. And like, we're in a global pandemic, and that's like one of the things you always hear. We're in a global pandemic. We're in a global pandemic. So can you please be conscious of the global pandemic? Yo, can you be conscious of war crime? Can you be conscious of like, I don't know, slavery? Can you be conscious of like, I don't know, Hong Kong, people in Hong Kong trying to literally like protect themselves from a like neighboring? I mean, we're talking about they freed themselves and the CCP only got stronger because of America. We further pushed them into a worse and worse place. More people get abducted in Hong Kong. More people, dude. I mean, I could literally talk about just Hong Kong for 10 hours on air. I could literally sit here and tell you about how many times, because of the U.S.'s particular policies, that Hong Kong took a bunch of dick from the CCP, dude. A bunch of disgusting gonorrhea fucking dick, bro. Just wart-infested HSV 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dick. Just cock to the face because they're trying to simply say, hey, our government is bad. And that is not a radical position. And if you think that's a radical position, then you're a fucking moron, man. Like, if you actually fell for the trap and you fell for this whole disinfo campaign run at the level of the fucking CIA, people, the CIA, downward, directively downward, bro. I mean, dude, it went from the CIA to institutional media to group messages with activist journalists that are sitting on different editorial boards, and then they hire individuals with pink and purple hair that tell them, and it's just a fucking shit show of postmodernist, nonsensical shit, sensationalized, built to undermine the highest office in the land. It happened right in front of your face, and you fell for it. So as much empathy as I have to give you guys, man, you guys trigger the fuck out of me, man. Like, some of these folks, man, I mean, they just tell you these things, and you're just like, you don't believe that, do you? Like, they, you tell them that, Donald Trump in 2016, when the Democrats tried to contest the election, Donald Trump said, these are the same people who told you there were WMDs in Iraq when we knew there were no WMDs in Iraq. We had found that information out through declassified things and whistleblower reports, like legitimate information tracking and sourcing. We found out that this was all a farce conducted by Bush and Cheney for special interests. We literally found that out. And the power change happened, except power never changed. The same institutions kept the power. And in fact, the same institutions allied more with power. So the Democrats, as soon as Obama took office, started lining up special interests, started lining up every fucking thing under the sun. Dude, the only thing they couldn't get is the NRA because they can't run on that fucking policy. But, I mean, dude, who knows? At this point, who the fuck knows? Because the only person defending your Constitution is you. It isn't the people you trusted. It isn't the people you thought that you elected that did that. They did that because they were afraid of the president. They were afraid of the actual movement that the president founded in this country. It's just, they believe these things, and you have to like question yourself, and you're just like, I mean, is it worth it? And the truth is, it is worth it. It's worth at least rationalizing your opinion because, you know what? The idea will sound radical to them the first time. But guess what? The moment you plant that in someone's head, all it takes is just a few more moments of them letting it simmer. They will have the ultimate thing of, what if he was right? Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about with the Russian thing. Or maybe I don't know what I'm talking about with the Ukraine crap. Or maybe I don't know what I'm talking about with the delusion of this and that and the other. And then they'll actually go and test it, and they'll test it, and they'll realize, wait a second, I'm failing this test more than I'm winning this test. Like, I'm only Wikipedia and Washington Post are the ones telling me that this is happening. And the Guardian. That's the only people telling me this is happening. And they'll go to like New York Post. They'll be like, wait a second. The New York Post has got a better record on the truth than anyone else. Then they'll go to, they'll go to Wired Magazine. They'll go to places where they talked about the Russian hoax. And they had long op-eds. They'll go to independent journalists and they'll realize that, wow, I am being lied to. But then again, that's something that you can't control. You have to just simply inspire it. Let these people understand that, it exists. This is not a hoax. This is not fake. I mean, this is what I'm doing with my buddy, man. This is one of the things they started snarkily laughing at me about was, the COVID thing. The COVID, how we had our hand in a Wuhan lab that very likely had a strain that was 96% similar to the COVID that fucking appeared in a bat market, a wet bushmeat market. And they say, oh, someone ate a bat. And they fucked they fucked their family member or whatever. And then, I don't know, whatever they say. And it's like, okay, well, Newsweek, New York Post, I mean, you name it, dude. It's out there for people to look at. They've got witness reports, you got whistleblower reports, you have everything you would need to make a decision, but you don't do it. I don't know what you call that, folks, because that's stupid to me. I mean, each time we're in this place, we come to this place and we just continue to fail, and it's disheartening. But look, this is a part of the operation. This is a psychological operation at the highest levels. This was a deception operation. The idea that this was this was free from flaw is completely debunked, completely disproven. Don't believe me? Verify it. Check out Matt Brainerd. Check out people like WikiLeaks. Check them out. Check out what they're saying. Give it a shot. Maybe try reading one leaked email from Russian hackers once and see what you find out, and see how different that is from what the Washington Post tells you, and from what the New York Times tells you, and from what all these people tell you now. And now Reuters is telling you this shit. And activism has helped the business. Associated Press is now telling you this shit. Donald Trump subverts blah, 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 because Orange Man bad is profitable. It's you're just preaching to the same group of people who are, for some reason, as disillusioned as ever. And, I don't know, man. It's just, this has just been a shit show. And I understand this show is a shit show. And I know that you guys are like, oh my God, take medication. Figure it out, BARG. Just get it under control, man. But, it's my job to report on what is and what isn't. And what is that we are more fucked than ever. But what isn't is that we're going down or we're going to be gone. No. My friends. Let me tell you something right now. When Donald Trump took the office in 2016, when he took the party from Jeb Bush in the Bush dynasty, he looked Jeb Bush in the face in 2016 at the Republican National Convention. He looked him right in the face and he said, "Your brother lied us into a war that cost the lives of many." The next day, he took the party by 66%. That, my friends, is called a populist. It's someone who's undeniably talented, someone who's undeniably skilled, and clearly a lot smarter than he lets on. And that was the biggest mistake the left let on. That's the biggest mistake the left did. They thought that someone was dumb and that he couldn't win. And guess what? He destroyed. He crushed it. And so a lot of this was actually just a happening of perfect planning and execution and a lot of good luck. We were lucky that he survived the Russiagate hoax. We were lucky he survived the attacks from the CIA. We were lucky he survived being spied on. We were lucky he survived Ukrainegate. And he lost a lot of soldiers on the way, man. Michael Flynn, one of the biggest names, one of the biggest patriots in this country, was effectively removed from the National Security Council because of these trumped-up charges. Michael Papa, Mikey P. Mikey fucking P. We lost him. Roger Stone, brilliant mind, gone. Dinesh D'Souza, phenomenal, gone. Out of the public discourse, labeled as criminals, labeled as this, that, campaign finance, procedural, blah, blah, blah. Nothing Russian. Nothing Russian whatsoever. It was clearly an attack. It was the biggest, most treasonous thing that our American government has most likely probably ever done, at least in modern history. We're talking about the Civil War being up there. We're talking about things but we're talking about the people of America almost unanimously in all the states that matter, all the states that make money, all the states that have supply chain, all the states that actually do a damn fucking thing for this economy, saying we want Donald Trump. We got him by God's grace, folks. God's grace. It was God's grace that brought him into this office, and it was God's grace that protected him and protected his ability to do this, because otherwise you can't have a perfect storm, guys. It's just not possible. It doesn't happen. And I'm not going to lie, we did fall asleep at the wheel. We believed that this was somehow in the bag. You had people telling everyone Trump's going to win a landslide. And there were people like Alex Jones. There were people who you have written off as conspiracy, who you have been told are conspiratorial, that told you that this is going to happen. They told you at the county level, this is what's going to happen. Alex fucking Jones, people. Alex fucking Jones. Telling you that this will be stolen in the states that are weakest. He literally broke it down by state. He had constitutional attorneys on. He had people on. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, Alex, I hope you're fucking wrong, man. I hope you're wrong. And God, this man was not wrong, man. He wasn't wrong at all. You know, I hate to get serious, guys. It's supposed to be a fun, upbeat type of thing and, you know, something you can laugh at me at and, you know, kind of ridicule me. But yikes, man. Yikes. Not a big fan of our Supreme Court appointees this time, man. You know, I looked into it. ACB actually upheld the ACA. She was one of the deciding votes to majority rule the ACA and keep it up and keep it an option. So who knows her biases? Who knows where she's compromised? You know, I'm sure she's a great person. She's a pro-life woman. She's amazing. But, you know, unless there's some other big play it here, unless we have Republican state legislatures locked, I don't see as clear of a path as I used to see. And I was one of the guys who was willing to look dumb telling you that he's going to win. But right now, it's not about me looking dumb. It's about the truth. It's about planning. It's about preparation. Okay? We lose. That's fine. Good. Time to recalibrate, reload, and re-engage. Those are the words of Jocko Willink. This is someone you should listen to now. Somebody who will condition your mind to expect good things only when you bust your ass for them. And what we have learned by the fucking, like I said, God's grace, man, with Donald Trump, with his presidency, with his policy, we need to meticulously study this. Study the Constitution, study these laws, create a platform for us to engage at the same level and spread this message of truth. And then systematically, literally, I'm saying systematically demolish these institutions that have taken advantage of us. It is only with this strategy, with these plans, with these tactics, can we actually beat the left. The left has no morals. The left has no problem lying to your face, mobilizing the low information voter, mobilizing the low information operator, mobilizing the low information propagandists, the Marxists, the folks who don't know a damn fucking thing about history, who somehow have the most college degrees and somehow make the least fucking money. Isn't that funny, guys? Isn't that funny when they tell you that? They have the most college degrees, yet their fucking states have the most debt. They have the most debt, the most socialized welfare programs, the most homeless people. They are the worst part of this country by a long shot. By a long shot. They are locking down people, talking about martial law. Martial law is already here, folks. It's literally at your front door, and some of these states like Texas, you better fucking hope they keep fighting the good fight, my friends. Because if our infrastructure fails because we were too comfortable, then we will have to go into a full silent class of individuals. In order to escape persecution, we will have to identify as non-binary, as this, as that, as the other, to make ourselves appear homogenous and normal, to prevent us from to prevent us from being canceled, from earning a livelihood, from, you know, these attacks. They're strategic, they're entirely emotive, and they work. They work a little too well. So our income, our supply chain, our everything needs to be unique. It needs to be impenetrable. It needs to be something that is not able to subdue, to be able to be subdued by counterintelligence, espionage. I mean, you're talking about all the deception operations under the book. You got military friends right now? Ask them about this shit. You got guys in the military right now with security clearances? Ask them about this shit. They will tell you the tactics that the enemy has been learning and studying at the level of the think tank that has been funneled up to the CIA. Langley sits on it for a little while and then drops it down line, baby. Down line across institutional media, across activist groups, through BLM, through shell corporations, through individual, philanthropists that claim they're philanthropists like Bill Gates, who are in reality sociopathic monsters. They purchase all of these things for $1 and a cent. And then they sell you out. The people you trust sell you out to these people. So please, to my conservative community, please continue to do what we've always done. Hold our representatives to the fucking fire. Ted Cruz, all these people, whoever the fuck was against the president and somehow now suspiciously is for the president, hold their feet to the fucking fire. Make sure they still stand with your president. Make sure they still stand with Trump agendas. Because it is because of these agendas that we have learned the full scope of the damage China can do. We have learned the full scope of what is possible in this fucking nation, man. Preserve the Christian ethos. Preserve the conservative ethos. Preserve everything that you need to have. Prepare. Don't be lazy. Don't think that someone else is going to do it. Try to beat them to the fucking job. Beat them to the punch. And if you guys happen to realize that you guys are both working on the same thing, collaborate. We need support in numbers like never before. We need to have 100 million Trump supporters to even think about. We had about 80 million is my estimate now, okay? Then we had about 5 to 10 million votes that just disappeared. And somehow Trump still wins down line, doesn't win the presidency, okay? We're talking about a popular vote that was subverted by factions of our government. So, what you need to do, what I need to do, is make sure that our numbers only go up. We need to be at 100 million people who would get up, register, and vote. We need to crush the margins of fraud so that they cannot commit fraud. We need to have courts that get reformed. We need to have more justices appointed by legitimate grassroots organizations. We need to have people that will uphold the Constitution, because some of these states have literally took the Constitution, opened it, and shat in it, and then closed it, and then throw it in a fucking freezer. That's what they did. So, I mean, I'm sitting here and planning with you guys. This is the first time I'm thinking about this stuff, all right? This is all off the top. Nothing of this is scripted. This is all just completely raw information. I'm just sharing. I'm trying to do my part and more than my part to get the message out. And this is just one of the few things I do in my day to be an activist in the conservative movement. We need to protect our states. We got to protect our states, man. Tarrant County, one county that didn't go blue ever. Trump turned more counties that were blue red this election, but somehow the margin of defeat for the Democrats was closer than ever. You know why? Austin, Texas, harvesting operations now happening currently. Tarrant County, I don't know how they got the tabulation into the state, but somehow they flooded the market with. They said a week later they report the Biden's the victor of that county. After Texas had been decided by a long shot. One county, they weren't able to do much. You see that? See how good we were able to do by holding our own fort. They only could turn one county while other counties actually went red because they didn't have the ability to have activists screw up the fucking system. So, take notes, guys. Take notes. Use this show. This is for y'all. I don't give a fuck about this, man. I will be an activist no matter what. I want to use this show to spread this one message, to preserve the conservative ethos, to protect our people, man. Our people, everybody, man. When we protect our Constitution, we protect the far left, we protect the people in Hong Kong, the people in Taiwan. We protect everybody, man. We protect everybody with our Constitution. So fucking stand up for it. Talk about your amendments with people. Study the Constitution. Become more familiar with it. Challenge things that seem unconstitutional. Do what is required to get the job done. Because we didn't get the job done, guys. We showed up in numbers we never showed up before, but we did not prevent these rule changes from screwing up the integrity of this election. We didn't do that. And I don't know who to blame. Because you can blame the Democrats. We already do. We blame them all the time. But is this their fault because they're willing to play dirty? Or is it all for our fault because we got in the ring with a guy who was clearly on steroids? We got into the ring with a guy who had all special interests behind them. They were juiced the fuck up, my guys. They were juiced the fuck up. They were so juiced up that they were able to fucking beat us in endurance. Not even in original turnout. These counties went blue like 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 7 days after the fucking election. Pennsylvania was still counting. Just, like there was like a 800,000 Trump lead, and Pennsylvania kept counting for days and days on end until they could break that lead. Who knows how many fucking ballots they fucking pulled out of their asshole, man? And don't let anyone tell you this shit was secure, man. Fuck out of here with that shit. Fucking nonsense. It's like plain as daylight, dude. It's like clearly obvious as fucking daylight, bro. Like, why is Giuliani saying no one's reading my brief? Because no one's reading his fucking brief. It's not because he's trying to be a partisan hack. Why do people... I don't understand this, man. This argument... This is what they made... This is what these guys, these low-information Democrats I was hanging out with yesterday made. They made this argument that for some reason Donald Trump has more reason to stay in office than not. And I'm like, are you stupid? Are you dumb? You're just dumb, right? Like, you're not actually serious. Like, why would a guy... Tell me why would a guy... Like, let's just go over why the fuck would a fucking guy from New York with about, anywhere between $3 to $7 billion. Who cares about his business record and his net worth? Fuck that shit. Why would a guy with his background, his ability to earn money and just skirt by, run for president? Because he profiteered? What? He checked in a few people into his fucking hotel? What about Halliburton stock flying? What about ACA? Like, what about all the real transfers of wealth that happened? I mean... This is like deficit spent transfers of wealth, guys. We're talking about like money that doesn't exist, that the government, simply because they control the Fed, has the ability to pass a bill that gives the money out on some stupid pretense, man. You dumb fucks literally were like, yeah, I'm scared of COVID, but like, can I get like $1,200? Because like, I really want the PS5. That's you guys. That's all of you. You fucking lefties, I mean. You literally were like talking about this stupid fucking stimulus bill. And like, I had a friend tell me this, like how this bill helps so many people. And I was like, bro, this is the thing with this socialized welfare. They say that people get help. It's like, yeah, but are you comparing the abuse and the help metrics? Or are you just looking at help? Like if 5% more people get help, but then the system is defrauded by a factor of 100% more. Like, for example, the stimulus bill allowed the ability for businesses to file for PPP loans, whatever the fuck that means. Pusillanimous protection, I don't know, penile prostate phallics. I don't know. I don't even know what PPP stands for. It's like PPP, PPE, PPC, PP fucking D, like what the fuck is a PPD? Is it like a birth control thing now? We're doing tuberculosis tests? I don't even fucking know. But that shit was, you had homies getting PPE loans and then PPC loans or whatever the fuck, and then they're buying Lambos. They're getting PPE loans for businesses that don't even exist. They're buying Lambos, dude. You have Democratic governors getting more PPP loans than anyone else per capita. Like, you have politicians getting PPP loans. I mean, look at the fucking special interest in that bill, man. $17 billion to Boeing. Guess who didn't want that bill? Donald Trump. Guess who didn't talk about a stimulus bill? Donald Trump. You know why? Because it hurts the fucking country. You know who want to keep your economy open? Donald Trump. Donald fucking Trump. You want to keep your economy open and let you take your own decisions and make your own risks and calculate your own losses. And if you think that you can run a business without getting COVID, then by all means, fucking do it, man. Fucking do it. Let people know, hey, there's a risk. You could get COVID. You're not going to hold me liable? Bet. Sign this waiver. Let's rock and roll, baby. Let's rock and fucking roll. You think you're going to get COVID? Hey, put that mask on. Get the fuck out of here then. Get your ass back in your car. Drive back to your fucking hermetically seal your shit. Put a condom on your dick just in case your dick gets COVID from not fucking anyone, because you ain't fucking anyone. Because if you're that kind of person, you're like jerking it to, like, you know, all sorts of kinky shit. So, I mean, you know, again, example of socialized program that gets abused more than it actually helps. The factor of what it helps, like my friend was telling me that she got money because of the hysteria that the media, instead of reporting about COVID and the actuality of COVID and the data we had available and the things we knew were happening, they sensationalized it for fucking money and geopolitical interest. And then the businesses in America shut down and started laying people off. And you have complicit actors at all levels. It's not conspiracy. It's not conspiracy. I mean, it's not, because you say it's conspiracy because you don't want to, you're too stupid to follow the details. You're too dumb to connect dots that are so fucking apparent. Like, you can just see, it's like murder weapon, body, you have the caliber of the bullet, you have the mechanism of impact, you have every fucking thing you would need to say, hey, I think that gun killed that guy. Or I think that priest fucked my kid, right? I think that priest diddled the fuck out of my kid. My child has a lot of problems, so, you know, psychologically, physically, because of one summer camp. I wonder how that fucking happened, right? And these folks, they did this in a fashion that was done with, you know, direction, planning, and intent, and it wasn't done randomly. This didn't all happen by, you know, random. It was all by design. And these are what we call design flaws. You know, the thing is that right now, you know, what I'm learning from my conversation with my friends last night, there are clear afflictions with media bias. There are clear problems with comprehending complicated details, connecting those dots, being able to actually say, you know what, this is suspicious and we should look into it. These things aren't going away. MAGA ain't going nowhere. The party of Trump ain't going nowhere. The Trump GOP ain't going nowhere. But these guys ain't going anywhere either. They got all the money to stay there. They got all the reason to stay there. So you need to do more than just boycott your media. You need to advocate for other sources. You need to question people's information live. So when you hear misinformation, stop it, fact check it, show them the facts, tell them to look into it. That's called doing your part. Because once you, like I said, you plant that seed, it will grow. The truth will grow. And you know, like a lot of plants, they're whatever, I think phototropic or whatever the fuck. I'm not a scientist, but I'm possibly borderline mentally deficient, but that's a different story. We're not talking about my mental incapacities. We're talking about science. But look, the truth grows towards light. It always does. It's the nature of the conservative ethos. You know, once these countries lose to socialism, they lean into capitalism. That's how it happens, okay? It's how it happened in India. It's how it happens in all other places in the world, where they lean into socialism. They start allowing socialized welfare programs to just take over their state. They cripple the middle class. People get subjugated based on very, very arbitrary things, metrics of compliance, and socialist dictators take over the world. And, you know, then they allow globalists to come and do a bunch of shit. And we were trending in that direction. Donald Trump fixed it. He fixed a lot of it. It's going to be reversed, folks. You can expect every Trump policy that was in place to be reversed if Biden takes office. YouTube will tell me that Biden is the president-elect. Kamala Harris still has not resigned her seat at the Senate. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know how to predict this. There is a path to victory. It's not a very likely one. It's a Hail Mary of Hail Marys. The Texas case was the Hail Mary. It was something we were relying on. We clearly invested. Someone should have fucking told us, dude, like, Like Andrew Yang's campaign. Was this really going to fucking work, man? Someone should have told us that. And I'm honestly kind of upset with legal scholars from the right. You guys should have stopped focusing on show business and told people, guys, look, this may not work. We need to direct our efforts into something that is palpable and practical. I'm talking about long-term reform of corrupt systems that have predated the MAGA movement. We're talking about over 2 decades of shit policy and shit incentives, shit special interests that have plagued the public discourse. So this will take, folks, probably 2 decades for us to get back to America being number one. And we are number one now. But China, the moment that they had an idea of how this election was going to go, and by the way, they had inside information. So before you fucking come at me, just fucking read, man. Just read a book. Try learning. It doesn't hurt. Learning helps. Challenging your opinion helps. Letting people correct you for things when you're completely fucking retarded. My apologies, can't say that word. I'm going to have to cut that out. Completely mentally insane. You're gonna need that stuff. So, just fucking, question these people, man. Make them rationalize their opinions. I did that last night. I think I made some progress with these folks. I'm about to talk to these guys again, send them some more articles for them to shut the fuck up about before they fucking laugh at me for something again. I got really triggered by that, man. I was like, you're laughing at me because I'm telling you something that happened. Like, understand what's happening right now. I'm telling you something that exists. Dr. Fauci and his weird alliance with the NIH and their weird fucking backing, controversial backing of, this is a fucking headline, man. Their controversial backing of the Wuhan lab, the multiple op-ed journalists that came out and said, hey, look, we did a lot of fucking digging and this does not look like a wet market theory. This doesn't really pan out. You have biologists talking about this. You have virologists talking about this. You have immunologists talking about this. You have epidemiologists talking about this. You have you have janitors telling you this shit, man. Your janitors telling you that the fucking globals are taking over and your idea is to just say he's retarded. You just want to say he's stupid. Man, oh man, are you guys dumb? Man, oh man. Oh, gee, Willie, you're a fucking dummy. You're a fucking dummy. Lefty, lefty, dummy, lefty, dummy, dummy, lefty, dummy, lefty. Stinky, stinky boy. Shit in your diaper. Joe Biden's diaper. Sleepy, beepy Joe. Always man, bad. Always man, bad. You poo poo doo doo, poo doo poo poo. A goo 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 doo doo. And the Trump is bad. And we need to abort every baby. And the Planned Parenthood is good for people. Chinese free trade helps all people in the world. Some of these psychopaths will try to defend free trade agreements. They'll try to tell you that free trade is like, it's better for the world, okay? America first is toxic to the world, okay? Well, let me tell you what happened under free trade. So before free trade with China, specifically with China, let's just keep it to China. I think it's a little more easy for you to comprehend, okay? Free trade worked like this. We allowed and incentivized production and manufacturing to leave this country to China, okay? The Chinese, the guju-bugu. So the guju-bugu Chinese then decided to say, hey, why don't we devalue our currency so that we can pay less for labor? And when that stopped working, they said, better idea. We're a communist totalitarian state, right? And everything is like state capitalism, which is it's a code word for nonsense. State capitalism is a code word for gibberish. From that point, they decided, hey, you know what we should do? Like, force people to work for a low wage. You know what's better? Slavery. We should just enslave these people. Like the Muslims, enslave them. Give them iPhones and say, bye-bye, go in the thingy and make the thingy, stupid boy, dumb little poo-poo. And so these poo-poos then did all this shit, right? And we're here now. Okay? So before you say free trade is good for the world, just look at history maybe. And just look at subjugated people and notice how China was not nuclear capable, not geopolitically relevant, literally struggling with a whole plethora of issues, and has now become the most industrial, robust, I mean, dude, they are strong mechanically. They're strong with nuclear powers. They're strong with, dude, their cyber warfare is off the chain. Chinese interference and everything. I mean, dude, they have so much money that they've bought certain areas of the fucking country, dude. These states that you dumbasses say defund the police, and you know why it works that way? You know why those stupid policies always work with you dummies? It's because the Chinese already own your real estate. Why do you think real estate's so goddamn expensive in New York and California? It's because the Chinese buy out blocks of this land and then sublet it to a bunch of people. Okay? Not the Chinese people, the Chinese Communist Party, and the quote-unquote state capitalists, whatever the fuck that means. State capitalism? That's like an oxymoron. What does state capitalism mean, dude? What the fuck does that even mean? Don't let these lefties use these stupid words to tell you, dude. You know, socialized welfare programs lead to socialism. Socialism leads to communism. Communism leads to a totalitarian state. There's no fucking lines or barriers in between. There isn't a country that's been able to do it well. The Scandinavian countries are not fucking socialists. The Scandinavian countries have a market economy. They have a 25% VAT consumption tax, which is how they're able to pay for a large part of these. And they don't have to maintain a military. They don't have to maintain troops. They don't have to maintain any fucking thing that marks them as a global power. Anytime, if Russia wants to decide to say, hey, you know what, Sweden, you know what, Norway, I really like that you guys have an open port. And I want to take that port. We're going to militarily occupy this land because we want to and because we can. You know what the EU is going to do? Why since you're doing the military occupied the port, can you just post it on Twitter and say Google Gaga Boo Boo Baba and just blame it on Trump? And that's what they're going to do when these global powers come to your front fucking door. This is why a president like Donald Trump has a standing in the global scene. It's why the Chinese went after him so hard. It's why the Russians respect us for the first fucking time ever. Like, they respect us. They're like, okay, all right, we see you. You're trying to stand strong. And you know, people say, oh yeah, but Trump in the global scene is, I'm like, are you stupid, dude? What do you mean Trump? Bro, Trump has literally like banged out historic peace deals. You think it's because he's stupid? Like, these guys have no, their history is in front of their eyes and they're believing the misinformation. So I don't know what to tell you guys. These guys are clearly deluded, okay? Deluded like by like a factor of 10 comparatively to like a Republican. I mean, they ridicule evangelicals. They ridicule people who have principle and core ideologies that have sustained the fucking test of time, dude. The nuclear family has sustained the test of time. Western civilization has sustained the test of time. It has sustained attacks. And we will sustain this. But again, you have to maintain that ability to operate under pressure. Because that area of comfort that we had, those 4 years, that glimpse of comfort we had, very well could be gone come January, whatever, 26th, whatever the fuck they say now, 26th, 20th, 6th. I don't fucking know at this point. I mean, I can't trust any media. So I have to literally like wait to see it happen. It's like fucking horrible. But you know, each element of this was by design, guys. And you have to get your brain in the state of mind to be an activist. You need to take that page out of the left's playbook and be an activist. You know why? Because we do activism and we do everything better than they do. Our activism is like backed by rationality. It's backed by so many things. We have such a legitimate track record to show that. Their activism is backed by entirely emotive responses. So you have to understand, if we do some of these things, we could take this country back in less than 20 years, okay? We could take it back. We could take it back from these people, these frauds, and we could convert the folks who legitimately are voting in the interest of authority, in the interest of all these special interests, and they think they're doing the right thing, and we could get them to realize, hey, you know what you're doing is you're hurting folks. You're hurting folks, and you're allowing people to basically, you know, continue to be subjugated. So guys, just, you know, I could go on for days, man, and I don't want to, because, you know, I think I have to bring this episode to a close. But look, if you get anything from this rant, just that part is the most important, man. Mobilize, you know, recalibrate, reload, re-engage, listen to Jocko, Preserve your mind, because the biggest attack right now is on your mind. It's a war on information. It has not become a physical war yet, but this could be one of the biggest wars we ever have to fight. It's a war on information without a doubt. And I hate to say it, but, Alex Jones was right. He was dead on with this. He was dead on with the coup. He was dead on with everything. So you have to respect those who called it from the beginning. Stop ridiculing him. Stop putting him in the same bubble as QAnon. Start listening to him. Start giving his ideas credence. Start giving people who have been banned by the media credence. Let them tell you things. Let it simmer in your brain. Stop believing in all these stupid fucking nonsense disinformation campaigns. Stop believing the leftist media's nonsense. Get out there. Engage with the community, man. This is your community, my community. This is our kids' community. This is our family's community, our parents' community. Protect it, man. Protect it with everything you got. And lean into ration. Lean into these things. Because if you don't lean into them, man, you've lost before the fight has even begun. You've lost. Well, the moment you prove to these people that you're what they have lied about you are, and the moment you give them the opportunity to call you intolerant, the moment you give them the opportunity to call you stupid or dumb, you don't defend it, and you don't rationalize it, you're losing. You're not doing your part. And everyone's got to do better. So if you're doing a lot, I thank you. I thank you a lot. But keep doing better. Let's keep raising this raise the temperature, man. Get this shit I'm talking DEFCON 5, baby. I think 5 is the worst. No, 1 is the worst. DEFCON 5 is, I have to talk to my contacts in intelligence, but I don't have any contact. I'm just kidding. I don't have any contact intelligence. Yeah. But, guys, lock in, baby, because this whole rodeo is just getting started, folks. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I hope you get something from this. If this is just some shit you listen to while you're, I don't assume people are jerking it to while they're listening to me, but that, you could be. And if you are, thank you. I appreciate it. Please share the show with people who you think will like it. Don't share with lefties. They'll come and cancel me. Share with folks you think who will appreciate the message. And thank you for YouTube for letting me be on here. Thank you for Spotify. Thank you for other people letting me platform this. Guys, like I said, I'm not sitting here spreading misinformation. The sources and everything I said is verifiable. Please verify it yourself. Hold me accountable for things I haven't done. And, let's fucking act in strength, man. Let's be smart. Let's be rational. Let's be calm. Let's be cool. Let's be collected. Let's be fucking badasses, bro. Let's do our president right, man. Let's prove him right. Let's show the world that he was right. And let's just make that happen, man. Let's not just rhetoric is not going to help. It's going to be action, guys. Action is the only thing you need to do. So what I need to do, I'm going to take some of my own advice. I'm going to try to get involved this weekend. I'm going to try to, really see what organizations I can join to, help my community and then work from there. Start with your community. If everyone starts with their own community, then we have a better tactical map of this land than anything else. Don't focus on the at-risk parts right now. Focus on protecting yours. Once you've protected your community, then you can worry about Georgia, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. Those states are corrupted, and guys, if you're in these fucking states, listen to this shit, okay? Protect your community. Protect your precincts policies. Do it by precinct by precinct. Let's win this fucking country back, baby. All right? I got a jet. You gotta fucking do shit, but woo! Let's rock and roll, baby.